Yeah, going back years ago, I mean, talk about De La Salle and Monte Vista, because there's connections and why that was such a big rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, I think, definitely my junior year and then my senior year, they had an outstanding program. I think a lot of similarities. Their coaching staff was strong. Lots of personal relationships between
cover some of these.
the coaches.
Like Tom Lattiser was on the Monte Vista sideline.
Yeah, so Tom Lattiser, who was Coach Lattiser, Bob's brother, was one of the assistant coaches, and Stockberger and Lattiser were really good friends, for years prior to that. And then one of our other coaches, Luke Wurzel, I think had a connection to Monte Vista, right. And so there was all kinds of stuff. And then, a lot of the players, a lot of the guys that, I talked about, Brad Thompson and Brad Hyde, those guys, Jim King, they all lived in Danville, Alamo, and were friends with some of the guys on the Monte Vista team, so they had known them. Brad Hyde, I think it was documented in Neil Hayes' book really well, was friends with Jim Coleman, and they were friends like in Ohio in the same street, and ended up both relocating out here, and now we're playing against each other on the football field. So a lot of personal friendships and the coaching staff, and then on top of that, the two best programs in the area. So it really was I think a unique time to have two programs that were that intertwined, and ended up meeting twice in the finals.
Right, you're talking about in '86 we won, and then there's the famous '87 game we're going to get to. But yeah, there was no tweeting, there was no emailing. But did you see the Monte Vista guys before? Because you met them at '86 there. But did you see them in the off season at all socially, or?
Yeah, not so much. I mean, for me in high school, like I said, because I grew up. I grew up out here, so the guys that I was friends with were the guys I played Pop Warner with, that all went to Clayton Valley High School.
Right, exactly.
So that was kind of my group of guys, and then obviously my friends at De La Salle. But yeah, I think some of the other guys that lived out there, they saw them in the off season.
Right.
But I think really after high school was when a lot of the big group of us started meeting each other, and kind of building some of those friendships after the fact.
Exactly. And then talk about you transitioning from quarterback to running back. And I bring it up just because I grew up with him on Ramsey Circle in Walnut Creek. There was a guy, Mark Van Slambrook, whose name has been lost to history, who got hurt. You both would have played, but that, I mean, really, not to say opened the door for you, but that made you, and was it Prescott, the 1 and 2 running backs. Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, no. So junior varsity, I played quarterback, and Mark Van Slambrook, he was our go-to running back, and had God knows how many yards and how many touchdowns. But he was definitely our deep threat as a running back, and I think he got hurt his ankle, I believe, going into the junior year. So really kind of hampered him, and he was a great soccer player as well. So I think at that point he, with the injury, transition and decided to focus more on soccer. But yeah, we definitely would have been, splitting time, or maybe you would have even started over me. Right. So it was definitely opened a little bit of a door for myself junior year, and transitioning into from quarterback to running back, and that's when they swapped myself and Brad Hyde. Made Brad came in to be the backup quarterback junior year, and then started senior year, and then I transitioned from quarterback to running back when we moved up to varsity. So.
No, but you had speed. I mean, because you were also returning the kicks.
A little bit of speed. I don't know if I'd qualify my speed.
Maybe tough to bring down, or I mean.
No, I think in the book Neil Hayes was very generous by coining me as a rugged, I think, running back versus a speed guy, which was absolutely accurate. I did not have blazing speed, but I kind of just grinded it out and did the best I could.
So talk about this. 1987, we talked about the Ignacio game. That was the semifinals. Yeah, talk about this rematch against Monte Vista. I mean, we'll talk about the final play there, but what are your memories of going into that game and the game itself?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a huge game. I mean, we kind of thought that's what it was going to be. They were so good. We didn't think that they were going to lose, and obviously we felt that we could get there as well. We were confident in ourselves. But yeah, it was a big game, so we prepared hard, and there was definitely nervousness, I think, going into that game. Remember distinctly, vintage Coach Edson at the Thursday night team dinner before the game, everyone was kind of going through their goals and what they wanted to do for the game, and I think everyone could kind of sense some of the tension in the air. And I remember Coach Edson saying, "Guys, just settle down. You're gonna do fine. Just do what you need to do, and you'll do fine," to try to break some of that tension. So we knew it was a huge game, that there was a lot riding on it, and then as we mentioned, the streak at that time, I mean, that was, the big thing. Obviously, in hindsight now, with 151 games, 44 was nothing.
No, but it was a big.
But to us, yeah,
it was a big deal.
It was a big thing. Yeah, we had there was a lot riding on it. So there definitely, we were feeling the pressure a little bit, but felt confident going into the game, but knew it was going to be a really tough game.
Yeah, and let's talk about how the game unfolded. Some of the key plays in the game and the game itself.
Yeah, well, I mean, that game was a battle the entire game, and right from the beginning, I think that first drive opening drive when we got the ball, God, it felt like we, with the penalties, it just seemed like every play was penalty after penalty, and felt like we had gone the length of the field, 2.5, 3 times, and didn't have any points to score because we, break long runs. Brad Hyde had probably a 70-yard touchdown run that got called back for a penalty. So that really, probably wasn't a great omen starting off the game that way, but we just continued to battle through, and it was tight the whole game. Which we had a couple tight games during the year, but nothing like that. I mean, they just blow for blow. I mean, they were there with us, so we knew we were going to be in for the long haul, and it was going to come down to probably who had the ball last and who could score last. Right.
Talk about that final drive, because there were a lot of I think 2 4th-down conversions. Go ahead. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, we were. We were doing everything we could on that last drive. We knew that the clock was ticking down. We were tired. We had injuries. We had, if you watch the film, we had Jim Hinckley. I remember he's running in and out, and they're trying to strap a practice jersey, over the top of him with a different number so we could be eligible to play tight end because he had a lineman number. And I think they end up stopping and kicking him out because he had a illegal number on, or the jersey wasn't good enough. Right. So we're playing some of the sophomores that came up. So we were leaking oil a little bit, right, coming down there. But again, just battling and fighting.
We're down by, was it 14-7 we were down? Yeah, it was 14-7.
Yeah, 14-7.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and driving down, and yeah, we had that one big 4th down play where we were up against it and ran I think it was a sprint at 1 flood, I think is the name of the play, where we just flooded everybody out to the right, and Brad Hyde rolled to the right. And nobody was open. It was just kind of one of those things. I was running. I saw he was running out of field. He was going to hit the sidelines, and I could feel Jim Coleman, cover me right behind me. So I just said, I got to try to do something. So I just stopped, and luckily Jim kept running by me a little bit, and Brad saw me at the last minute and kind of hucked it up a little, and I was able to catch it and turn around and get a couple of yards. But yeah, I mean, that could have been, I mean, that was that close to the game ending right there. Right. So yeah, that drive was unbelievable. I mean, I never remember being that tired at the end of a drive. Ever. Right.
And it was you that scored the touchdown, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And remember how that play you must remember.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just one of our, I think it was a 12-veer play. It was just a veer play up the middle and handoff, and I was able to, lunge over the end line and score. And I just remember scoring. I didn't even have any energy to celebrate. It was just, get myself up. I knew we still, what was going to happen, if we were going to kick the extra point or if we were going to go for 2. So just kind of got back to the huddle. And like I said, we were all just breathing hard and gassing.
So was it decided right then to go for 2 or?
Gosh, I mean, I know Ladd came out and he was talking to Brad, trying to decide what they wanted to do. But I just remember being in the back of the huddle, just trying to catch my breath. That was all I wanted to do in case it was a play I was going to have to be involved in. I was just trying to get my breath back after that last drive.
Was there a timeout or?
Yeah, I think there was a timeout. I remember Coach Ladd had come out and he and Brad were talking about what to do and made the decision, and Brad came in and called the play, and we went with it.
Exactly, because we were talking. I didn't know the specifics, but if we had tried the extra point, it would have tied, and there would have been an overtime.
Would have been overtime.
Exactly, but everyone was so exhausted, and this is, I mean, so this is why we came up with Damon Bowers. You know, there's years later, it's inconclusive. I mean, and it made you a lifelong friend with Steve Abrams.
Yeah.
But tell people what happened here.
No, yeah. So I mean, it was that last play.
Going for two, yeah.
Going for two. It was a lead at 9, so it was a lead option play off to the left side, and ran it. Brad came in, the pressure to Brad. He made the right read and pitched it off to me. And I just remember getting the ball and tucking it under and looking at the pylon and just saying, I just got to get to that pylon as fast as I can and try to squeak it inside. And couldn't really see too much off to the right side of me because of the blocks that were going on and everything. And then as I was getting close there, kind of at the last minute, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Steve shooting out. So it was, a quick decision. I had to decide, do you try to cut it in or just go? And I felt I was close enough. The best shot was just to try to power in and squeak the ball inside the pylon. So that's what I did.
Exactly. What did you think you hit the pylon? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's I know that the pylon hit me right here and the ball went inside of the pylon.
Right.
I know that for a fact.
Right.
What I don't know where my foot was. I
Sure.
don't know if my, because I was diving, I was up in the air and stretched the ball out. So my foot could have touched out of bounds before the ball crossed over. I mean, that's where it's really inconclusive.
Yeah.
And I don't know where my foot was.
Right.
So, I mean, to say I was definitely in, I can't say that. I know the ball made it inside the pylon, but where all the other stuff happened and the timing and what the referee's angle was,
exactly.
it's hard to tell.
But as I said, we talk about this because it's all relative. Like, I remember it. You remember it. Damon Bowers remembers it. Even like Brent Barry, who played basketball, I asked him, give me one sports moment at De La Salle, and it's this play. Wow. But then it's relative. Your wife grew up over here, went to Clay Valley. She didn't even know about this. I mean, it's a big deal to us. But I joke. I mean, don't worry about Rob Forrester. He's doing all right. I mean,
I'm doing fine.
Exactly. I mean, a nice job, a nice wife. Tell us about your 2 kids and your wife.
Yeah, no, it was like I said, and
definitely a nice pool here.
Yeah, pool's great. Yeah. So, no, it was like I said, in the moment, it was a big thing. But part of what I think De La Salle teaches you, and what you've heard Coach Ladd and Coach Edson time and time again talk about, it's not about football and win streaks and winning and losing. It's about what life and development of people. And I think that really shone through that. It was a big thing for me at the time, and sure, I would have loved to have won that game and for the call to go the other way. But at the end of the day, I had a great experience, and I was developed so much as a man going through that program that it's fun to talk about now in the past, but it wasn't anything that I pine over.
No.
I'm You're doing great. I have a great life. I mean, I'm so lucky. I have a wonderful wife. 18 years. Tomorrow will be our 18-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So just happy with my life. I got 2 wonderful kids, a 10-year-old son who's into baseball, great little baseball player, and my daughter who's 7, Casey and Mia. So I'm doing great, and just happy to have had the opportunity to be at De La Salle and have that part of my development.
But what it did do is it made you friends with Steve Abrams. I mean, and I'm going to talk about that. I mean, something where you both met at the goal line there, and you've been friends ever since. Yeah,
so it was kind of documented in the book, but so we had that. So not immediately after that, but after our senior year, Brad Thompson, one of my good friends, and Steve were both in the, back then they had that all-state all-star game down in LA, I think at the Rose Bowl they played. So they were both selected for that all-state all-star game and ended up being roommates down there and talking to each other. And then once they came back up, since they had, hit off that friendship, we started doing stuff together, and, Steve and his buddies from Monte Vista and our buddies just started slowly kind of hanging out and doing more things together, and, got to know each other. And, we're all, very similar and had the same kind of goals and motivations. And, I think it says a lot about Monte Vista's program as well. I mean, they weren't, condescending or we
No.
beat you or anything like that. It was, everyone realized, how great both the programs were, and I think how lucky we all are were to be a part of that on either side, either one of those programs at that period of time.
Mutual respect.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So a lot of those guys, Branham and Shad Hansen and Steve, obviously Steve and all those guys. We just kind of had a friendship. So it's really kind of neat to see that, and I think that's really what high school football should be about, how it develops, men and people that can go on to be successful in life.
Right, and then I'm trying to think how we transition here. I just see my Saturdays being busy. I mean, tracking down the De La Salle guys, the Monte Vista guys. The other thing I just thought about, Rob, is maybe we take a break and we'll come back and we can talk about maybe like you might have like a message for like this year's team or something, what it is to be a Spartan, because I tell them that they're young Spartans. I don't want to be. I call myself. Oh, should I be calling ourselves old Spartans or middle? We're middle-aged Spartans. We're middle-aged Spartans. I like you think. Okay, stay tuned for more of Rob Forrester.